Oh, UFO was brilliant, yeah. The costumes, the wigs, Gabrielle Drake being very sexy.
It's been 56 years since UFO gave us silver wigs and underground command rooms. A secret military organization instead of a starship.
Well, the one that got through is almost certainly damaged. Sky One should get it.
Alien invasions instead of diplomats. The cast, their journey since leaving SHADO have been just as fascinating as the show itself. Let's see where they are in 2026.
The mission is a 15-year mission to explore the universe and unknown worlds. Wow.
We have Ed Bishop as Commander Ed Straker. Ed was 38 years old when UFO premiered in 1970, playing the ice-cold commander of SHADO with his platinum hair and rigid posture. What made Straker unforgettable was that Ed played him with zero warmth.
Have you ever thought about the victims of UFO incidents? Have you ever considered their parents, brothers, sisters?
In an era when TV heroes smiled easily, Straker never did. Before UFO, Ed had appeared in 2001: A Space Odyssey and voiced Captain Blue and Captain Scarlet. But here's where things get interesting. The network actually wanted to soften Straker, but the producers refused, and that decision defined the entire series. Ed was born in Brooklyn, New York in 1932 and built his entire career in Britain, even reshaping his American accent to fit naturally into British productions.
Good shooting, Sky One. Come in, Seagull X-ray. Alec, are you okay?
He married 3 times and had 4 children with his second wife, economist Hillary Preen. Tragically, his son Daniel was killed in a car accident in 1988 at just 20 years old. Ed passed away on June 8, 2005 from pneumonia while being treated for leukemia. He died just 5 days after his co-star Michael Billington.
I have green on 1, 2, and 3. Range 17 million miles.
George Sewell as Colonel Alec Freeman. George was 46 years old when UFO premiered in 1970, playing Straker's trusted second-in-command who brought warmth to SHADO's cold command structure. What made Freeman unforgettable was that George brought real-life military experience to the role, having worked as an aircraft mechanic during World War II before turning to acting in his late 30s. He didn't enter the profession through glamour.
Must have passed all the tests.
All of them.
I bet.
He arrived through lived experience. Freeman was the emotional counterweight to Straker's severity, the man who made the command room feel human rather than clinical. Writers adjusted scenes specifically to let George balance the tone. After UFO, George became one of Britain's most familiar faces in crime dramas.
Roger. 10 degrees port. Right.
Particularly Special Branch, though he was often typecast in authority roles. His fame never exploded, it settled into consistency, which was exactly what his career had always been about. George kept his personal life private throughout his career and rarely gave interviews. He passed away in 2007 from cancer. Without Freeman, SHADO would have felt impossibly cold.
What's happened to my eyes?
It's all right. It's all right. Come along. It's all right.
Michael Billington as Colonel Paul Foster. Michael was 28 years old when UFO premiered in 1970, playing the ambitious young pilot who challenged the chain of command. What made Foster unforgettable was Michael's sharp jawline and intense physical presence.
Leveled out at 250,000, airspeed 2200, pressure normal, cabin temperature 72.
He was chosen by Sylvia Anderson after she spotted him on The Prisoner. But here's where things get fascinating. Michael screen tested for James Bond multiple times, more than almost any other actor. He even dated Barbara Broccoli, the Bond producer's daughter, for 8 years. The right man, the right moment. Almost. The role went elsewhere every time. After UFO, Michael starred in the Oneiden line and appeared in the Bond film The Spy Who Loved Me, playing a Russian agent. He lived in the US from 1979 to 1985, but never reached the same level of success. Michael married Catherine Christoph in 1988, and they had a son, but Catherine passed away in 1998. He devoted himself to raising their son, and later taught at Lee Strasberg's acting school. He passed away from cancer on June 3, 2005 at 63.
This is Moonbase to Shadow Control. Predicted trajectory termination, North Atlantic.
Gabrielle Drake as Lieutenant Gay Ellis. Gabrielle was 26 years old when UFO premiered in 1970, stepping onto Moonbase in her lilac wig and silver boots with calm precision that made her instantly iconic. What made Ellis unforgettable was that Gabrielle appeared in fewer episodes than fans remember.
Moonbase control to lunar mod. Switch to automatic LLS. Will bring you in by radio beam.
Yet her image defined the entire series. But here's the incredible part. Early planning discussions considered reducing Moonbase operations, which would have eliminated her character entirely. If that had happened, the show's most iconic visual might never have existed. Instead, marketing elevated her look, and posters featured her long after her scenes ended. Gabrielle was born in Lahore in 1944 and raised in England. Her background in theater gave her quiet elegance rather than theatrical exaggeration. Beyond acting, she dedicated years to preserving the musical legacy of her brother, the legendary folk musician Nick Drake, ensuring his work reached new generations. She's kept her personal life private throughout. Today, at 81, she remains a living link to that era.
You didn't leave the jungle. You brought it back with you.
Wanda Ventham as Colonel Virginia Lake. Wanda was 35 years old when UFO premiered in 1970, playing one of SHADO's most commanding officers. What made Virginia Lake unforgettable was that Wanda played her as pure intelligence and authority. In a command room full of urgency, her character never needed to raise her voice. Early outlines gave Lake a much smaller role, but Wanda's performance expanded the character's importance within SHADO's hierarchy. Before UFO, she trained at the Central School of Speech and Drama. But here's what most fans don't know. Wanda is the mother of Benedict Cumberbatch. She married her first husband, James Tabernacle, in 1957, and they had a daughter, Tracy, who sadly passed away from cancer in 2021. She married actor Timothy Carlton in 1976, and their son Benedict became one of the biggest stars in the world. Wanda and Timothy even played Sherlock Holmes' parents alongside Benedict in the BBC series Sherlock. Today at 90, she remains a living bridge between eras.
Maintaining solid. Red 129046.
Antonia Ellis as Lieutenant Joan Harrington. Antonia was 26 years old when UFO premiered in 1970, playing one of the Moonbase officers who helped keep lunar operations running in the trademark lilac wig and sleek silver uniform. What made her contribution special was the composed professionalism she brought to the futuristic setting, making Moonbase feel like a real operational facility rather than a television set. The uniform, the wig, the precise movements, all combined to create an aesthetic that stayed with audiences for decades and became synonymous with UFO's visual identity. Before joining the series, Antonia was a young model and actress already working in British television. She brought a natural elegance to Moonbase that complemented Gabrielle Drake's Lieutenant Ellis perfectly. After UFO, Antonia appeared in a few British film and television productions before stepping away from entertainment to pursue a more private life. She was part of an era when science fiction was redefining what the future could look like. Today, at 81, she remains part of that enduring image of the future that never quite arrived. Dolores Mantez as Lieutenant Nina Barry. Dolores was 34 years old when UFO premiered in 1970, playing one of Moonbase's communications officers who helped shape the show's signature aesthetic in the iconic lilac wig and futuristic uniform. What made her story particularly fascinating was her background. Born in Liverpool in 1936, Dolores had actually worked as a seamstress before being discovered and entering television in the 1960s. It was a journey few would have predicted. She played an officer who may not have been a main character, but whose presence reinforced the operational reality of SHADO's lunar outpost. Every console, every transmission, every alert on Moonbase felt precise and purposeful, partly because of performers like Dolores who committed fully to their roles. After UFO, Dolores made a few more television appearances before stepping away entirely to focus on family and personal life, never returning to the screen. She kept her personal life private throughout. She passed away in 2012 at 76 from cancer. Her time on Moonbase was limited, but the image she helped create has endured for over 5 decades.
I have a radar sighting. Bearing 279.
Georgina Moon as Lieutenant Sylvia Howell. Georgina was just 20 years old when UFO premiered in 1970, making her the youngest member of the core ensemble. She played part of the skydiver crew, handling communications and assisting in interception missions.
Radar sighting. Bearing 279.
Aboard the submarine aircraft hybrid that was one of the show's most impressive concepts. What made her presence special was the human element she brought to the intense submarine sequences. In a show built on tension and technology, someone had to make the machinery feel believable, and Georgina did exactly that. Before UFO, she had already appeared in British television, including the comedy Up Pompeii, showing her range as a performer. Her casting at such a young age demonstrated the show's willingness to feature youth alongside experience. After UFO, Georgina continued acting in British productions throughout the 1970s, before stepping away from the industry. She kept her personal life largely private and rarely discussed her time on the series. Today, at 75, she remains a connection to that remarkable era when the future still looked sleek and chrome.
This is the result of the autopsy I carried out on the alien.
Vladek Sewell as Dr. Doug Jackson. Vladek was in his 40s when UFO premiered in 1970, playing SHADO's chief scientist with a quiet intensity that never felt exaggerated. What made Jackson unforgettable was the intellectual gravity Vladek brought to every scene. Born in Poland, he had already built an impressive international career before joining UFO, including appearing in the James Bond film From Russia with Love as the chess-playing villain Kronstein. That Bond connection gave him real credibility in the world of espionage and science fiction. In a series about alien threats, someone had to make the science feel serious, and Vladek did that through restraint rather than spectacle. He spoke with measured precision and carried himself like a man who understood consequences before anyone else in the room. His performance gave the show genuine intellectual weight. Vladek kept his personal life extremely private and rarely discussed his work publicly. He passed away in 1992. Without Dr. Jackson's steady authority, SHADO's missions might have felt dramatic, but never truly believable.
You did it to prove that Straker and the computers were wrong.
Harry Baird as Lieutenant Mark Bradley. Harry was in his 30s when UFO premiered in 1970, playing one of SHADO's officers with quiet authority and commanding presence. What made his casting truly significant was that Harry was one of the few prominent black actors working consistently in British television during that era, making his presence on screen enormously important even when the scripts didn't center his character. Harry had already built a respected career in British film and television before joining the cast, appearing in various productions throughout the 1960s. He brought genuine credibility and strength to Lieutenant Bradley, a character who stood firm in scenes that demanded composure. In a command structure defined by rank and hierarchy, Bradley projected steadiness that mattered to the show's tone. After UFO, Harry continued working across film and television, building a career spanning multiple decades. He kept his personal life private and rarely gave interviews. Harry passed away in 2005. His role may not have dominated the narrative, but it meaningfully broadened the image of who stood inside SHADO's command structure.
It's right. Stand by for liftoff.
Peter Gordino as Captain Peter Carlin. Peter was in his early 30s when UFO premiered in 1970, piloting Skydiver with physical control that made the action sequences feel precise rather than staged. But here's what most fans don't know. Peter didn't come from traditional acting training alone. He had worked professionally as a dancer, and that background showed in everything about the way he moved on screen, even when seated at the submarine controls. His posture was disciplined, his reactions measured. In a series made before digital effects, physical presence mattered enormously, and Peter delivered both effortlessly. His character wasn't written as a central emotional figure. Carlin was written as pure competence. When Skydiver launched on a mission, audiences believed Carlin could actually fly it. After UFO, Peter continued his career steadily in British entertainment, though without the dramatic peaks some co-stars experienced. He kept his personal life private throughout. Without Captain Carlin, the show's action sequences might have felt theatrical rather than genuinely operational.
This is a maximum security alert. Condition red.
Keith Alexander as Lieutenant Keith Ford. Keith was in his 30s when UFO premiered in 1970, working in SHADO's operations room with a headset permanently in place, eyes forward, delivering critical mission updates while chaos erupted around him. What made his contribution special was that Keith provided the essential rhythm and continuity that made SHADO's command center feel like a real functioning military operation rather than a television set. Information moved through the organization because his character kept it moving, relaying data and coordinating responses with calm efficiency. Before UFO, Keith had worked steadily across various British television productions, often in supporting roles that demanded credibility and professionalism rather than spotlight or leading man charisma. That background made him a perfect fit for SHADO's operational backbone. After the series, his career continued in a similar pattern. Steady and respected without dramatic peaks or sudden fame. He kept his personal life private throughout. Viewers may not recall every specific line Lieutenant Ford spoke during the series, but they remember the cadence and atmosphere of that control room. Keith helped shape that atmosphere entirely.
Q9700. The computer readouts available from today.
Norma Ronald as Miss Eland. Norma was in her early 40s when UFO premiered in 1970, playing the woman who managed SHADO's headquarters with precision, composure, and quiet authority. What made Miss Elin special was that Norma played her as pure operational competence from behind a desk in a structure dominated by military uniforms and rank.
Cover wrecking a very expensive aircraft, killing my brother.
Her voice rarely rose because it didn't need to. Orders moved through her. Information flowed because she steadied it. Miss Elin was the gatekeeper of SHADO's command structure, and Norma made that role feel essential rather than decorative. Before joining UFO, Norma had built a respected career in British television, often cast in roles requiring restraint, intelligence, and composure under pressure. That experience translated perfectly to the world of SHADO. After the series, her career remained steady rather than explosive, consistent rather than headline-grabbing. She kept her personal life private and rarely gave interviews about her work on the show. Not every hero stands at the front of the room, and Norma Ronald proved that beautifully.
I don't have it ready yet.
Straker, the committee meets in 3 days' time. I need your report and all the figures.
Grant Taylor as General James Henderson. Grant was in his 50s when UFO premiered in 1970, playing the military figure who even the formidable Commander Straker answered to. What made Henderson unforgettable was that Grant played him as pure institutional authority without a trace of warmth. Henderson wasn't emotional, he was oversight. He was the cold reminder that even secret organizations fighting alien invasions answer to governments, budgets, and political pressures. Orders were given, signals sent, and systems kept running because someone higher up demanded it. And Henderson was that someone. Grant was already a seasoned British television actor when he joined UFO, and that experience gave his performance genuine weight and gravitas. His presence was never flashy or attention-seeking, but it was absolutely essential to making the military hierarchy feel complete and believable. He kept his personal life private throughout his career. Without Henderson looming above Straker, SHADO's command structure would have felt incomplete and unconvincing. Gary Myers as Captain Lou Waterman. Gary was in his 30s when UFO premiered in 1970, playing one of the interceptor pilots who helped make SHADO's combat missions feel believable and genuinely tense every time aliens appeared on screen. What made his contribution valuable was the quiet discipline and military bearing he brought to the ensemble. Waterman represented the tactical edge of the organization. When interceptors launched and orders were executed under pressure, his steady presence helped ground the tension and make the danger feel real rather than scripted. There were no major storylines built around Captain Waterman, and there was no surge into superstardom for Gary afterward. His career continued in supporting roles across British television, steady rather than explosive, consistent rather than glamorous. He kept his personal life private and rarely appeared at conventions in the years following the show. He was part of the team that gave UFO its unique operational rhythm and military atmosphere. Viewers may not recall every line, but they remember those interceptor missions. Sometimes it's the steady hands that keep the future intact. Sometimes the best stories aren't about the stars. UFO was built on its leads, but it lived because of the dozens of performers who filled every console, every Moonbase corridor, and every submarine hatch with the illusion of a real organization defending Earth in real time. The silver wigs may have been the look, but these faces were the substance. And 56 years later, SHADO still feels like an operation you could walk into, if only you had the clearance.